What's going on, guys? Today it is my mission to figure out a couple things. One, is the 2026 Honda Civic Sport Touring Hybrid, that top-end model, worth the money? Two, how does it stack up against other makes and models out in the world? And three, what if I'm comparing it to maybe an Accord hybrid as well? Let's figure it all out. What better place to start than at the front and see what's under the hood. So let me pull you on in here. So you are looking at a 2-liter engine putting out 200 horsepower. That is then running out to a CVT transmission and then out to front-wheel drive. So if you're shopping the Honda Civic Hybrid, I want to talk to you about the engine for a second. So if you're looking at the non-hybrid version, that'd be your LX and your Sport, right? These are the two base model trims. They get 158 horsepower. Now, when you move up to the Sport Hybrid or the Touring Hybrid, you're now looking at 200 horsepower. To give you a sense for where that lives in the Honda world, if you went to a Honda Civic Si, 200 horsepower. If you went to the Accord Hybrid, 204 horsepower. So this actually gets quite a bit of horsepower for what it is. But while we're here, I want to throw up a comparison so you can see how does this car stack up against other makes and models out there in the world. I want to say it does pretty well. I want to say it's probably leading a majority of the class. All right, guys, so I'm down here on the ground for two reasons. One, I want to give you an opportunity to see what the 18-inch alloy wheel looks like on the Honda Civic Touring Hybrid. Actually, pretty darn nice looking wheel. I'm not mad at this. But while we're down here, I want to talk to you about miles per gallon. This car gets 50 in the city and 47 on the highway. That's combined to 49 miles per gallon. While it may not lead the class, it barely gets squeaked out, it's pretty damn good. So if you're shopping for a vehicle that gets good commuter mileage, this should be on your list. But while we're here, I want to throw up a comparison so you can see how does this stack up against other makes and models out there in the world. Now, while we're down here on the ground, there's of course a couple more things I want to do. I want to give you an opportunity to check out the front of this car. What do you think it looks like? Is it grimacing? Is it smiling? I feel like we all kind of look at cars and decide that. But while we're here, I want to talk to you about ground clearance. This car has 6.7 inches of ground clearance on the vehicle. That may matter. Depending on where you live, the roads might be nice, they may be rough. You may live somewhere rural where there's not much of roads at all. So I want you to see a comparison of how the 6.7 inches in this vehicle stacks up against other makes and models out there in the world. All right, guys, let's talk about front row leg space. So in the front of this vehicle, you've got 42.3 inches of leg space. It's quite usable. I'm 6 foot, 250 pounds, and I want to show you what this looks like for me. If I hop on in this guy and sit down, I have got quite a bit of space. I mean, I've got a good 6 to 7 inches of additional leg space to work with. But while we're here, I want to throw up a comparison so you can see how this stacks against other makes and models out in the world. While that's up, I'll just remind you, if you jumped over to a Honda Accord, in the front row, it's the exact same amount of leg space, so it wouldn't make a difference if you were in the Accord or the Civic when it comes to leg space. All right, guys, so in the rear of this car, you've got 37.4 inches of leg space. I'm gonna hop in again here a second, but I want to throw something up on the screen so you can see how does this stack up. While it's up, I'll remind you, if you're looking at the Honda Accord Hybrid, right, you'd be at 40.8 inches. So if you needed to squeak out a few extra inches, it might be a good way to go. But let's hop in and show you what this looks like. I got the seat pushed all the way back. So even if a larger passenger's in the front, I have still got enough space to comfortably sit in the back of this car for a long road trip. Now, while we're talking about the back of this vehicle, I want to point out that, of course, you do have the perforated leather, you do have the flip-down folded seat, but you'll notice that you don't have air vents or USBs. If I'm buying the top-end model, I would kind of expect those things. Additionally, you got one seat back pocket here, but you don't find one over here. So if you're shopping this car, I don't know that trunk space is going to be the biggest factor for you, but let's talk about it for a second. So if you look on in here, you've got 14.8 cubic feet of trunk space. It's actually plenty to work with. Your carpet floor mats come standard in the car. You do have a 60-40 split throwdown, so if you needed to fold it down, you can. Now, additionally, there is a couple things that I do want to point out. Back here, you're going to find that there is no spare. What you do have is essentially fix-a-flat with a tire inflator. So if you're looking for a spare because you live in rural areas, know that you don't have one in the hybrid. Now, saying a car has 14.8 cubic feet of space is like, what do you compare that to? What does that really mean? So I wanted to show you, I'm actually in the back of this car right now. So if you're wondering how much space is that really, it's actually pretty useful. While we're back here though, I want to throw something up on the screen so you can see how does the 14.8 cubic feet in the back of this car stack up against other makes and models out there in the world. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to check out the back end of the car, see what it looks like. Hopefully that's what people are seeing when you're driving on by them because it goes fast enough. But let's talk about that for a second. The 0 to 60 time on this car is roughly 6.2 seconds. It's actually pretty darn fast. I want to say in the comparisons that I looked at, it was actually winning. But if you're thinking, hey, what about the Honda Accord Hybrid? Well, they have roughly the same horsepower, and that one's a little bit heavier, so it's actually at roughly 6.7 seconds. So not a bad car off the line. So I want to stop for a second and talk about something that I regularly saw people run into and struggle with when I sold cars, and that's understanding the trim levels, and then what's the difference between like this level and the one below it. So let's talk about that for a second. In the Civic, there is the LX, your entry level. There's a Sport, both of these are non-hybrid. Then there's a Sport Hybrid, and then what we're sitting in that Sport Touring Hybrid, right? So we're in the one that costs $33,490 with the $1,195 delivery fee, and then it may cost a little bit more if you want that premium color for $455, right? So I want you to understand that first, right? There's 4 trims. Now, the second part to that is we're in the Touring. If I drop down to the Sport Hybrid, the one right below this, one, how much money does that save you? Roughly $3,000. And then what is that list of items that I'm gonna give up? Because I want you to understand that if a Bose sound system is important to you, or a 9 versus a 7-inch touchscreen is important to you, you're probably gonna wanna be this one. Or if you want a wireless phone charger, you're probably gonna be one in this one, right? If you want parking sensors on the car, this makes more sense. Now, some of these items you could add on, right? You could add leather to a car, but if leather costs you $2,000 to add from an aftermarket point, why not get all these other items that come with it for $3,000? So I just want you to understand what you lose by dropping down one trim level. Before I walk you through the touchscreen, I want to talk to you about touchscreen sizes. So this vehicle gets a 9-inch touchscreen. If you were to drop down a trim level, you'd be moving down to that 7-inch touchscreen. But I want you to know how this stacks up against other makes and models out in the world. I want to say if you go to like the Corolla or the Elantra, you can get roughly a 10 and change inch touchscreen depending on trim level you pick. So if having a couple more inches is important to you, then this might not be the vehicle that you want. Now, before you make any decisions strictly based off the size of the touchscreen, let's talk about the amenities that it offers. So this vehicle offers not only Google Maps, but it also offers the Google Assistant. If you're looking for that in other vehicles, you're gonna struggle to find that. You will find Alexa in some of the other vehicles, but Google, I found, lives in the Honda, but it didn't live in like the Corolla Hybrid or the Elantra Hybrid. So interestingly enough, that may matter to you, it may not. Now, of course, this car does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. They are wireless. Pretty much at this price point, I find that all of the trims that I was looking at came with wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, working through the touchscreen, it's actually very easy to use. I'll point out that, of course, it does have a hotspot. You can access and update this with Wi-Fi. Under vehicle settings, I'll point out there are a ton of cool things that you can do in this vehicle. So know that if you're jumping in here, it's very easy to maneuver through here and find different settings in case you want to change one. I was easily able to work through here without knowing much of what anything is and be able to select and turn things on and off. While we're here though, I'll point out a couple cool tips and tricks you may want to take advantage of. Things like the walkaway auto lock. If you turn this on, when you get 10 feet from the car, if you have your keys with you, it'll automatically lock the doors. So if you're like me and you always have a laptop or a camera bag with you, I would highly recommend you turn this off because the default is just for not to be on. Now, there are plenty of other tips and tricks that I can show you, and if you don't know much about that, I would encourage you to watch my tips and tricks video. I'll throw a link in the description, and of course, I'll throw something up at the end of this video too, in case you want to check out 15 different tips and tricks that I walked through on the 2026 Honda Civic. Now, if tech is important to you, I want to talk to you about this for a second. You may look at this going, whoa, this looks completely different than what I was just looking at a second ago when it came to the operating system. And if you're looking around in here, you're going to find that as I scroll through, I've got a lot of things that you're not going to find typically, like YouTube TV, Prime Video, I've got Spotify, I got the Play Store, right? I've got all these different options, Facebook, Netflix, right? That I can take advantage of and use while I'm sitting at a standstill, or I could be driving around and enjoying this. So if I'm taking a long road trip, it's kind of nice to be able to watch a show or let my kids watch it while I'm driving. I don't have to focus on it, I can focus on the road. But being able to do this is pretty darn cool. Well, what I'm using is actually an adapter. This isn't direct through Honda, so let's talk about that for a second. So jump back to the home screen. This is made by CarLink Kit, right? So this is the CPC 200T box. This guy, you simply plug into the USB where you would typically plug in if you're using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, right? And then you give this data. So I'm giving the box data using my phone as a hotspot. Once you do that, you can of course go and download any app that you want to use. Now, on top of being able to download any app that you want, which is really cool, it gives you the ability to take advantage of apps that already would exist on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, much like Spotify. When I jump into Spotify, I could pick an artist and then come in, and then I have the full version of Spotify, right? I could type in my searches versus using voice command. I can see all of the discography. I can see, recent song releases. I can see songs like them, artists like them, everything. It'd be like if I opened this up on my iPad or I opened up my laptop and was using this app versus the, cut up version that's a little bit more limited when it comes to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So for that reason, I really like what this box has to offer. Now, if some tech like this is something you're interested in, I will throw a link in the description of the video so that you can check this out. I'm of course an affiliate, so if you want to use my coupon code, I can save you a couple of bucks on this item. I like it. It works really well. I can stream things, I can listen to music, do all those things on top of everything that I could use on Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So feel free to check this out, take advantage of my coupon code and my link if you want it. Now, part of the reason a majority of people shop for Hondas is specifically for two reasons. One, they want reliability, and two, they want safety. So I want to talk to you about some of the safety features that exist in this car. So let me flip you around. So on the steering wheel, I want to point out a couple real quick. First off, you have lane keep assist. It uses a camera up here to detect the lines on the road. What it'll do is if you engage this button, you'll see the same indicator come on in the dash. And while it's reading the lines on the road, if you drift a little bit to the left or the right, it'll actually correct for you and keep you centered. The other one is adaptive cruise control. When I get to my speed, I would press this to set the cruise control. I can then set the distance it'll keep between me and the car in front of me by selecting this. When you do, you'll see more or less boxes come on up here. The more boxes, the more distance it keeps between you and the car in front of you. What I mean by that is if I'm going 65 and the guy in front of me gets in front of me and then slows down to 55, my car will keep that spacing and slow down. When I get out from behind him, it'll take me back up to my speed. Now, there's a couple other safety features that I want to point out on the right side here. While we're here though, I'll point out this is fully digital. So I can pick through all these different options on both sides. Really cool, really nice, clean display that you get in the touring model. But let's talk about these safety features. If I come down, the first is road departure mitigation. It works like lane keep assist. If I'm driving down the road and I start to veer off the shoulder of the road, it'll give me an audible alert and actually vibrate the steering wheel to say, hey, wake up, pay attention. The next one down is going to be blind spot information system. At this point, I think we all know what blind spot information system is. It's got an indicator in the mirror that'll light up yellow if there's somebody in your blind spot. If you start to give it over, it'll give you an audible alert to let you know, hey, there's someone there, please don't hit that. The next one down, this is low speed braking control. You won't find this in all the trims, but what this is if I'm backing up or I'm driving in a parking lot and it's looking like I might hit somebody, it can actually apply the brakes to prevent the accident. Now, what you will find in all the rest of the cars is 2 down, and that's collision mitigation braking. If I'm driving down the highway, so this is gonna be in all the trims, and it's looking like a car in front of me is gonna slam on the brakes and I don't notice it, it can actually first alert me, give me a flash in the dash, and then apply the brakes to help prevent me from rear-ending that car. Super cool feature. Now, understand you can turn all of these on and off. Now, I skipped over one, and that's parking sensors. The vehicle does offer parking sensors. You can turn them on and off. I think all of us kind of know what those are. It'll detect in the front and the rear of the vehicle when you're like going somewhere, and if you're backing up, it'll go beep, 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 right? That sort of thing. So if you're looking for that audible alert and an indicator to which side you're getting closest to, that's what parking sensors is, and this specific trim offers that. So should you buy this car? That's a lot of money. You got to make the decision. $33,490. But if I'm basing it off of some of the comparisons we looked at earlier, it does really well. It stacks up really well when it comes to horsepower, when it comes to front row leg space, rear leg space, trunk space, right? Ground clearance, 0 to 60 times. This car does really well in comparison to a lot of other makes and models out there in the market, but even its big brother, the Accord Hybrid, where if you were looking at that vehicle, you get the top end line of this one, or you could get the base model for essentially the same cost. At that point, I'd probably go with this one and take all the bells and whistles. I'd take the larger touchscreen. I'd take the wireless CarPlay. I'd take the Bose, 300-watt 12-speaker system. Some of those things just make more sense to me. I want to ask you a couple favors. One, I hope you'll press like because you like the way I present the comment. 2, I hope you leave a comment if you feel like I missed something or you wish I would add something, or you just want to say, hey, maybe you just will say, hey, good job, Justin. I can appreciate it. 3, I hope you subscribe to the channel so when I produce content like this, you'll receive it. 4, you got some friends that are shopping for an Accord Hybrid or maybe a Civic Hybrid or shopping some of those other vehicles against it. Hey, show them the video. Hopefully it'll help them out. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Later, guys!